Welcome to TalkNorth.com. Thanks to our longtime producer, Brandon Morton. Please download before you listen. If you'd like to advertise with us, you can reach us at talknorthpodcast@gmail.com. And please follow us on Twitter at TalkNorthPod. Two promo codes to be aware of. BiteSquad.com. Use the promo code TalkNorth to get your first delivery free. And go to SodaStick.com, the great local apparel company. Use the promo code YouBetcha to get free shipping on any sized order. This is Preps Today with John Millea, featuring your prep guru, MSHSL.org writer John Millea, who goes all over the state looking for the best stories. You can find his work at John's Journal at the MSHSL.org website. I'm Jim Suhan from the Star Tribune, and we appreciate Pizza Barn in Princeton for sponsoring the program. We'll tell you more about Pizza Barn, which is just a cool place that you can access anytime you're near Princeton, or if you're going north or south of 169 to the cabin or back from the cabin. Check them out, pizzabarnprinceton.com. Let's start with the state baseball tournament, John.
Yeah, we had kind of I will say, pleasant and rainy day at Target Field, Jim, on last week when we had the finals on Thursday. And one thing that stood out to me, one of my spies in New Prague told me about this pretty cool story that you're not going to see at any level other than high school sports. New Prague went to the state baseball tournament for the first time, I think, since 1980, and a bunch of kids whose moms and dads are New Prague graduates. Kind of a small town story, but they're big enough to play in 4A baseball, the biggest class. So I got a little clue that one of their best players was in Germany on a school trip. So I did a little research and found out that his name's Joe Becker. He's there. I talked to Tanner Oaks, the coach. He said, I'm not going to call Joe my number 2 pitcher. He's like my number 1B pitcher. He's an excellent pitcher, kind of a utility guy, plays all over the infield. So he was with the team all season and through the section tournament. Joe was the winning pitcher in the section championship game. They beat Lakeville North to go to state. And then he went to the airport and got on a plane to Germany, because this trip had been planned for about a year, and the rest of the class, about 40 kids and a German teacher in New Prague and some other chaperones, they had already left a few days earlier. So he joined them in Germany. And then, expectations weren't that high that New Prague would get to Target Field, but son of a gun, they won their first 2 games of state. He watched them online, 7 hours ahead in Germany, and then he started thinking, geez, should I go back? Playing at Target Field might be kind of cool. So his dad texted him, if you want to come back, we'll arrange a ticket and get you here. And he texted Tanner Oaks, the coach, and said, hey, just to be sure, am I still on the roster? He was. And son of a gun, he was back at Target Field. He got home a day or two beforehand, and things didn't turn out as good as the New Prague folks would have liked. They lost in the state championship game to Eastridge. And Joe he wasn't in the starting lineup since he'd missed those games. Tanner said, these other kids who were there, we got to give them this opportunity. And that wasn't a reflection on Joe. But Joe came in and got a pinch hit double in the 7th inning as New Prague was trying to rally. And game ended and his season ended. He was standing on third base. But really a cool thing. I talked to Joe and talked to Tanner, like I said, and really a neat thing that he's in Germany watching these first 2 state tournament games online. And he said, I was trying to think, is this even possible? And 10 hours later, he had an airline ticket ready to go. Munich, Reykjavik, Minneapolis, Target Field. That was his itinerary. And really a neat kid, a cool story. And I'll just run down the 4 state championship games we had at Target Field in Class 1A. Bold, that's down in Bird Island. If you're not aware of Bold, the Bold Warriors beat New York Mills 8-0 in the 1A championship game. And the story here was a junior pitcher named Jordan Sagadol. He had a no-hitter into the 7th inning, and as we know in high school baseball, these are 7-inning games. He did give up a hit in the 7th. Dude struck out 9, walked only 3. He went 3 for 4 at the plate, including an inside the park home run. And this was a great way to end the school year for Bold. They played in the Prep Bowl last fall and lost to Mahnomen-Waban in a really, really close game that came down to the wire. So these 15 of the 17 baseball players from Bold also played football. So they've seen they played in 2 state championship games this school year. That's pretty good for a small school. In 2A, Duluth Marshall beats Minnehaha Academy 4-2. Kind of a low-scoring game till the end. Marshall got a run in the 6th and 3 in the 7th, and they rallied to beat Minnehaha. And one of the big stories here, Ben Peterson from Marshall, a big, strong left-hander. He struck out 9 and 6 1/3 innings. The pitch limit in the postseason for a senior is 115 pitches. So he left with 115, and then the game ended a couple outs later. He's signed with Missouri, a school you're familiar with, Jim. Ben's going to.
Yes, sir.
I think he was drafted in the 30th, 35th round or something. He's going to pitch at Missouri. A nice kid, good athlete. And this is pretty cool for Duluth. No team from Duluth had won a state baseball championship since 1950.
Wow.
When Duluth-Denfeld won it. I'm sure it was a one-class tournament. So, yeah, that was really good. Class 3A, St. Thomas Academy beats Benilde St. Margaret's 1-0. Another great performance here by an individual. Duke Coburn, pitcher for St. Thomas Academy, got the shutout, struck out 9, gave up 6 hits, 1 walk. And Blake Mahmood for the Red Knights, also a great pitching performance. He gave up 2 hits and struck out 9. And in 4A, like we said, New Prague and Eastridge. The final score was Eastridge 7, New Prague 2. The Raptors won their first state championship, scored 5 runs in the 5th. The dam kind of exploded there. And New Prague pitcher Luke Tuppy, this dude was on fire. Struck out 6 of the first 7 batters and 10 of the first 12. And then in the 5th, like I said, Eastridge kind of had his number and really got rolling and scored 5 to put that one away. We had some rain, like I said. We got the first 2 games in on schedule. In fact, the first 2 games both started 5 minutes ahead of the posted times. The 10 o'clock game, the first game of the day, actually started at 9:55 because everybody was ready to go. The umps were ready. We'll play ball. But then after those 1A and 2A games, it started to rain. Grounds crew got the tarp out. So the 3A game scheduled for 4 o'clock. That didn't start till 6:46. First pitch. The 4A game scheduled for 7 didn't start till 9:28. So we got out of there. The last out was recorded at 11:25. But we got all the games in. There was a little, very minor Twitter squawking about playing that 4A game, starting almost 9:30. And somebody said, well, there was one person on Twitter, I think, who didn't think this was a good idea. And he said, this isn't fair to the student athletes. And my response was, what do you think the student athletes would say? They're already at the ballpark. Do they want to get on the bus, go back home, come back tomorrow? Of course they don't. And so we got it done. It wasn't any big deal. And you talk about efficiency. Jim, you're a ball guy. Major League Baseball has issues with long games. The longest game of these 4 was 1 hour and 57 minutes. Again, it's 7 innings. It's not 9. But the others were between 141 and 148. So this was very efficient baseball. There's not long breaks between innings. There's no commercials. It's just get those warm-up pitches in and we go. And it was great. And I'll tell you, with the weather the way it was, to have the Twins grounds crew doing what they do and doing it 4 times in one day, getting that field in major league condition 4 times is remarkable. And the way they pull the tarp and get it off and just a great experience for these high school kids and the fans that were there. And I just want to say again, thanks to the Twins organization, such backers of amateur baseball in Minnesota. And they really go all out to make this a cool day and a long day for everybody. But But how great is that for all these guys to play in a major league stadium, and just the little touches they do. Every kid who comes up to bat can look up at the big jumbotron and see his face up there. They take photos of each player before every game and quickly get them up on the scoreboard. The lineups are up there. But boy, what's that like? I can't imagine being 16, 17 years old, standing at home plate at Target Field and looking up, and there's your picture on the scoreboard and your name and your stats, and pretty cool deal all around.
Well, and you hit on all the points I would have made, which, Target Field is one of the best ballparks in the world. So getting to play there in your hometown ballpark and having it be that great a venue has got to be a thrill. They do stuff, Dave St. Peter takes great pride in putting these games on, and their grounds crew is great. That they have all the challenges you could possibly have. They have to deal with snow, ice, long winters, spring rains. They do a lot of concerts. They host other events in there, and they do a great job at that field. So it's great that it all worked out.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. And most people don't know that behind the third base dugout, they have kind of basically a weather center back there with screens and the radar. And that was a popular place for a few hours Saturday. Everybody was checking the radar, wondering how long till the weather would clear. And I noticed a rain gauge on the little photographer's well next to the third base dugout. There's a rain gauge. So I looked at that after the rain had stopped. We got a third of an inch of rain. In a couple hours there. It rained pretty. It wasn't really hard, but pretty steady. And yeah, it's phenomenal. It's the best place for baseball. We don't fill the place up. There's tons of empty seats, but boy, for everybody who was there, and these people from New Prague, man, they came out in force like nobody else. They were just loud and proud and really having fun. So all in all, it was really, it's just, this thing has really, I think, gotten better every year. People aren't intimidated by Target Field, I think, like they were early on, and everybody rolls in and has a good time, and the umpires love it. The media loves it. I love it. It's just the best thing we've got going.
Absolutely. Well, let's get to the other state tournament. Do want to thank, though, Pizza Barn, Princeton.com. That is the Pizza Barn, located and family-owned in Princeton since 1983. They have their specialty beers. They have pizza of the month. They have dine-in specials, takeout and delivery specials. But the coolest thing is we know how much Jody and her team support local and statewide prep sports.
Yeah, they do, Jim. And it's not just sports. They had a thing in Malacca, just up the road from Princeton last week. They had a parade, and Jody and her crew at the Pizza Barn made their famous Oreo fluff cups to sell to the bands and the people at the parade, and to make some money for the. I think some of the profits went to the Malacca band program, if I saw the Facebook posting correctly. So that's pretty phenomenal. But you're right about their menu. I was just looking at the menu here, and if they don't have it, you don't need it. You can build your own pizza. I've talked about being intrigued by the cow pie pizza, being an Iowa boy. That probably doesn't mean what I think it could mean where I come from. But taco pizza, soups and salads, they got it all. Sandwiches, cheesy bread, chicken, pasta. They got a kids menu up there. This is not, it's a giant menu. The place isn't as giant as the menu is, but it's great people, great food up there, and like you said, just off of 169 in downtown Princeton, it's worth getting off the highway and having a great meal at the Pizza Barn.
Absolutely. PizzaBarnPrinceton.com. Tell me about the state Clay Target tournament.
Yeah, we talked about New Prague here at baseball. Same kind of deal at Clay Target down here at Minneapolis Gun Club in Prior Lake on Friday, which was the official end of the high school league season. And the Clay Target isn't a fully sanctioned high school event. We don't run it during their season. We actually just kind of are there for the state championships, our state championships. The medals and trophies are exactly like every other tournament we do. It's a good partnership for a whole bunch of kids involved in this. So New Prague is the team champion. This is also a co-ed event. There aren't too many of those. It's young boys and young girls shooting at clay targets. New Prague wins the team championship, and there's a guy named Woody Glazier from New Prague. He's now a 3-time individual state champion in clay target shooting. And the way this works is you're shooting at 100 clay targets. You have rounds of 25. Then you take a break, you come back, fire at 25 more. Do that 4 times. So here comes Woody trying to win his third state title, and he's perfect, 100 out of 100. And I think 12 or 13 other shooters hit 99, which is amazing. But here's Woody from New Prague with a perfect 100. You can't do better than that in this sport.